Welcome back, Mr. Motaung.
Thank you, Dr. Tima.
Your story is it's beautiful, I must say. Beautiful, though I know it was hard, but it's very inspiring. So you are in Vereeniging now. You left unemployed parents at home, and life moves on, and you are studying towards a certificate in IT. Is that right?
That is correct.
And how was the experience?
Dr. Tima, I would like to start by saying that because it was the first time I ever lived away from home, that on its own was an experience to behold. Secondly, Vereeniging is a town surrounded by townships. So there is Sharpeville next to it, there is Sebokeng, and there is Everton, there is Bophelong and Tirela. And Qwa Qwa was characteristically a village. So the first thing I remember was the culture shock of having to adapt to a town and the township. So how my experience was like going to school was that I lived with my sister, and I need to explain what I mean by sister. Some people would say a cousin because her mother and my mother are sisters.
Yes.
But to me, she is a sister. She's not a cousin because she is not a child of my uncle. She is a child of my grandmother. So I stayed with her in Sebokeng while catching a train every morning to school in town and then coming back. That was the first thing. Living in a township when I came from the village. The second thing was that it was the first time I was boarding a train. There is no train in Qwa Qwa. I think the nearest rail station that I've ever seen is around Bethlehem. But I had never used the train. And in a train, I am then exposed to people who took the train as far as Johannesburg Park Station up to Vereeniging, which was the main or the last town in Gauteng. And beyond that, you go into Sasolburg, and now you are back in Free State. And thirdly, at the college, it is run by, for the first time, people of a different race. It was run by Indian entrepreneurs. And the lecturers were also Indian, most of them. And some of them were native Africans. And therefore, for the first time, I'm classmates with people from Soweto, Ekurhuleni, West Rand, and the area of Sebokeng. And then I realized that the amount of knowledge that I have is being tested by this very diverse and very vibrant culture of people of my own age, but who are exposed to far bigger things than I was exposed to. Then I began to understand the concept of homeland or Bantustan, that I lived in an area that was shielded from a lot of things in South Africa. That was my experience at the time.
And but were you able to, as quick as possible, to find friends for yourself among your classmates?
Yes, Dr. Tima. I was able to find friends. And I'm proud to say that some of those friends, maybe one or two, I'm still in contact with them. it was easy to find friends. But the interesting thing was that when you sit in class and you are going through the motions of lessons, and then you're starting to talk to a few people, you only realize later that you do gravitate towards people who have something in common with you. It's only when you're starting to get to know each other that you realize that you gravitated towards people you have something in common with. So they are the same people who also moved there this year. They are staying with relatives and they are going through the same culture shock as you. And yes, in some instances, you were friends with people who were born in the Vaal area and who understood the culture, and they quickly taught you or orientated you very well about the area.
But did you do very well in your IT course?
I'd like to think I did, Ndatetima.
And you finished it?
Well, I passed all my modules. I did complete my certificate, and I considered myself very competent in computers and IT at that time.
Upon graduation, what happened?
Before the year ended, I knew that there was a path I wanted to walk, but I could not because of the finances. So during the year, I quickly applied again to technicons. At the time, they were called technicons. And I wanted to pursue a full 3-year diploma in information technology. And I also had an option of pursuing human resources management, because something happened during that year that made me realize that I also enjoyed the aspect of interacting with people and wanting to understand what it is that motivates people to do the kinds of work they do and to do well at what they do. So I came across this human resources management career while I was still studying IT. So I put in an application at Technicons for IT, and my second option was human resources management. But because of the reality of finances, I still insisted to my parents that I want to pursue my studies at a Technicon at the very least. So when the opportunity came, I was accepted at Vaal University of Technology. At the time, it was called Vaal Triangle Technicon. Not to pursue IT, because by the time I think my turn to be evaluated came, I had already been overtaken by many people who had mathematics and physical science. If you remember, I did not have physical science. So I think I was overtaken until the space was no longer there. And therefore, I was accepted in my second option program, which is human resources management, in 1998. So I went straight into first year of human resources after completing my diploma in information technology at a college.
Wow. So this is an amazing story. So your parents were really, their hands were tied, and the only thing that put you through was a strong will inside you. Because they could have said, go to the mine and work, or you could have decided to go and look for work.
Ndatetima, you are correct, because as you say this, I'm trying to think quickly if at all my parents ever mentioned that I should go find work. And they never did. They never said I should go find work instead of pursuing studies. So they never discouraged me from the dream of obtaining academic qualification first. In fact, I remember being told by somebody later on, while I was still struggling at a Technicon, that why don't you go to work and go save some money and then you can come back to complete. But my parents never did. And sometimes when I look back, I am shocked at how persistent I was, despite the odds that were obvious in front of me. I still don't understand how I could have insisted to my parents that I want to have education when I knew for sure that they did not have the money.
Ntate Motaung, are your parents still alive?
They are still alive, Tate Tsima. I'm very lucky in that regard that they are still alive. In fact, my father only went into retirement last year.
Wow. We take our hats off to them, yeah, for that support, moral support that they've given you.
I'm very proud of them, Tate Tsima.
Lovely. And now you are at Val, at least you are now at the Technicon, yeah?
Yes.
And you must have been extremely happy with that achievement.
That was one of the greatest achievements for me, Tate Tsima, at that age. I have just been accepted at the Technicon. I mean, at the time, Val Triangle Technicon, he was and still remains one of the prestigious Technicons in our country.
Yes,
and the vibrance that was there, I was happy to be part of that. And I still remember the day when I was accepted. It was in January, and I think I stood in the queues to be accepted for 3 days in succession. And the queues would start from the main gate outside. And we stood there at the queues for 2 days, 3 days. And I'm sure you can still hear, even today, here and there, that parents and young people come from very far and they sleep at the gates of these institutions. That was the reality back then, and that I was extremely happy to be accepted there.
And you must have shown your human resources course dust, yeah? Such a strong-willed person.
Yes.
You must have studied like the Homurike Mavele.
Because then as soon as you start class, you are reminded again that you don't have enough resources. Because there were residences, and therefore there were learners who lived there, students who lived there, and there were students who came with bursaries, and they rented flats around Van der Been Park and Vereeniging. I was forced with many other young people who were starting out to live in a township called Shelton. So I stayed in a one room there, which I shared with another student who came from Malamulele. I remember him. He spoke Tsonga.
A boy from Malamulele and a boy from Qwa Qwa together.
Correct.
That's the beauty of education, yeah?
Yes. So yes, I think academically I did not have a lot of trouble, except to say that yes, there were those episodes when you could not afford a textbook, which was prescribed, and you had to find a way. So if it was not a second-hand book that you had bought, there was a printer provided for us, a very large printer provided for us inside the library. So you could find yourself spending a lot of coins there, printing the textbook. You could be printing a chapter or 2 or 3, so that you can study when you get to your place of lodgings. Other than that, you would be forced to study inside the library after 5 o'clock when the classes stop. And by 7 o'clock, you have to rush back to where you stay because it's already dark.
And this was officially what diploma was it called? Diploma in Human Resources, or what did they call it?
Yes, it was a national diploma in Human Resources Management.
And for how many years do you have to study it?
To complete a diploma, you had to be there for 3 years. So you had to complete three academic years.
Yes.
And then there was an added option of you to do a Bachelor's of Technology, which is called BTech, for an extra year. So that was 4 years.
So you did that?
I did that outright, yes.
And but Bachelor of Technologies is almost like is like a pinnacle of any diploma, I guess, at the technical. If you don't do BTech, it's like you are not finished. Eh?
Yes, absolutely. So we came to realize that as you were thinking that you are completing your diploma, then a lecturer or some employer or somebody who came to give a talk begins to suggest to you that you are actually not done. It would be better for you to do an extra year to get a BTech. Yes.
Am I right to say that this is like an upper hand up there was actually directing you, even though you wanted to do medicine, you wanted to do that and that, but knowing you now, I'm like, okay, why did you not want to do HR from the beginning? Were you crazy or what? Because this is who you are.
This is a very important question you are posing. I have thought about it many times over the years. And the only thing I can tell you now is that when I think back, I realize that perhaps there were two things at play. The first one is that career guidance was not very established at school. Secondly, we did not understand that to choose a career, you always have to look closely at your talents or your strengths.
And your interests, personality as well.
Yes, and so career to us would have looked like anything that you perhaps see on TV or something you see on a magazine or a newspaper or somebody who's famous. So we want to be like people we see or we read about, yet we do not know the real journey of those people. And we are actually ignoring the fact that we have attributes that we should be molding as we find our way ahead or our way forward. So those two things, I only realized later that they are a very good guide to choosing a career. And therefore, when I say that, I think that I would have turned out a very good doctor. I do think that I would have turned out a very good doctor. But also, I don't look at my inability to pursue medicine as failure. Therefore, the lesson that I take from this is that sometimes when you don't get the first things you want, it's not because you are failing. The hand of God is continuously giving you feedback of what you should be pursuing. So when you knock on the door and it doesn't get open, it doesn't mean you failed. But the hand of God says, keep knocking on other doors, and soon enough you will know the door that you are supposed to be pursuing.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And you finish your BTech and then what?
That is, before I even graduated in my diploma, I had already been playing around. And this is an important thing that I'd like to explain. So, in my standard 9, I remember asking my agricultural science teacher, my biology teacher, English teacher, I remember asking them to give me the opportunity to do the lessons for the day. So I would have read the lesson that's coming the next day. So I would ask the teacher, can I please be the one who teaches like you? And they would give me the opportunity.
Wow.
And I would teach. Not only me, but some of my friends, some of my classmates, they would also ask for the opportunity. They followed the example. And our teachers never refused. They gave us the opportunity. And of course, there were hilarious episodes because we were not trained teachers. So we battled, but because we wanted to do it, we did it, and the classes were fun. And some of the classmates would say, no, we prefer that we are taught by you than you, teacher. You know? And so in my second year, there was a program where when you were doing your first year, the lecturer did not have enough time to help those who did not understand. So they came up with a concept of tutors. So I was also tutored in my first year. And in my second year, I made friends with these 3 tutors who were tutoring us. And I asked them to recommend me when they move on. And so they did. So in my second year, I was already doing something like tutoring or teaching some group of people, even under community service. There were elderly programs that people came to the taking con to study things, and I was teaching and tutoring in all these things. But in that it was important for me to be doing these things as well, not just because I loved teaching, but because I needed money.
I see.
My parents were not having enough. So I needed to do something so that with that money I can supplement what I was getting from my parents.
Wow.
So from second year, I was already working in that way. And in my third year, in that way, also dabbling into SRC, student representative councils, and getting honorarium. So I threw myself into anything I had the ability to do, just so that I could get some money, not realizing that I was also sharpening my own skills as a student of human resources management.
Wow, beautiful. We're going to take another break, and when we come back, I want us to focus on your corporate journey or post your studies, anything that you did what was now called working. Yeah?
Okay, that is enough.
Beautiful. We'll be back. Thank you.